everyone, I'm Crystal.
And I'm Aaron.
And we are
the Crazy Pieces!
So we did this video about a year ago.
But it's outdated.
We felt like there was kids with braces and they were younger, and we thought we would just do an updated version of it.
And I did not look my best self. I was wearing a baseball hat, an old tattered shirt with holes in it. Yeah.
He was traveling. We were living with the crazy middle, so I was kind of out of my element also. So now that we're settled, we are ready to update you guys and really tell you about how our family got started and how we became the Crazy Pieces.
Let's forget the things we can't change, the tears and the shame. We've so much to gain if our hearts beat for the here and the now. We'll make it somehow. What do you say? Look up to the sky and see the light. Feel the air in your lungs, it'll be alright. Every breath that you take means you're in the fight. Let it take you higher.
Our family started about 17 years ago when Aaron first asked me on a date on Valentine's Day.
Spoiler alert, she said yes!
I did, surprising, just kidding, I love you. So from there, we got married at a really young age. It was actually the day before my 18th birthday. I was 17 technically when we got married.
Not long after that, when a mommy and a daddy love each other, we got Hallie!
What's up, guys? So Hallie was our firstborn child and what made us parents. And she is just amazing and we love her so much. So 2 years after Hallie was born came
me.
Max. So Max was our second born biological child and he was a tornado since day one. He's brought such life and joy into our family and he brought the spice for sure. So after him, we wanted to have a third one. And so we tried to get pregnant. However, we weren't able to. So we went through fertility treatments, ended up getting pregnant, and it was the best time ever. Hallie and Max were both so excited. However, I ended up having a miscarriage. And it was a really hard time in our lives. I remember one particular situation where Max came up to me and he kissed my stomach and was like, I can't wait to meet you. And it was right after I had found it that we were having a miscarriage and I just broke down and started crying and it was a really, really hard time for us.
Since we had such a hard time getting pregnant, and then once we got pregnant and we couldn't carry it, I was worried we couldn't have our own biological kids. So I went to Crystal and I said, why don't we try foster care and see if we could adopt a child?
And all he had to say was those words. And I signed us up the next week. We were in the foster care classes to do foster care and adoption. So as we started the classes though, and I feel like life works out like this a lot of the time, is all of a sudden we ended up being pregnant with no, fertility treatments, nothing. And then that brought in Logan! So Logan is our third biological child and he was actually born right as we were getting our first foster kids because we felt like foster care was still the path that we were meant to go and we were still meant to adopt. So we continued on that path even though we had this amazing boy in our lives. One of our main goals with it was to actually get a sister for Hallie. My sister is my everything. As you guys know, her name is Shelly from the Crazy Middles, and she is just such a blessing in my life, and I really wanted Hallie to have the same thing. So our goal was to really find a sister for her and a daughter that would just fit into our family perfectly. And that is exactly what we found in the very first adoption that we had, which was Ariana! Ariana is our very first adoption. She is our original OG, and she is just so special to us. And the really cool thing about it is her and Hallie are only 3 days apart in age. So it feels like having twins, and they do have that special relationship, that special bond that I was really hoping to be able to find for Hallie, and I'm so glad that we found it.
After we adopted Ariana, Crystal and I talked about it, and we still felt like we were missing pieces.
We still had this kind of like void, and I always have this thing that stuck with me since I was little, and my mom and I said, how do you know like what's the right number of kids? Like, how do you know that number? And my mom always looked at me and said, you just know. When your heart is done, or when you're done having kids, you know that your family's complete, and you have that feeling. Well, I never got that feeling. So we continued to do foster care, and the next child we got, he was 5 years old when he came to us. And I'll never forget the day I met him. I know I've told this story before. Sorry for those of you that have been around a while and heard me tell this. We got a call from a DCS caseworker to come pick up our son in the parking lot of the DCS office. So I did. We headed to the office, and as soon as I got to the parking lot and the DCS caseworker brought him out to me, I remember looking at him and just looking in his eyes, and I was like, hi, it's so nice to meet you. And he looked up at me, and I asked him his name, but he just looked up at me and gave me the biggest smile, and it just melted my heart. And I'm like, it doesn't even matter what your name is because you are amazing. So he never ended up telling me his name actually that night or that day, though I knew it from the DCS caseworker. But his smile, and just ever since then, his smile just can change my day around, can make me from a bad mood to a really good mood, and just change everything. So, and that boy is Jake. Look at the smile. Doesn't it just melt your heart? He is such an amazing addition to our family, and I knew that he was a piece of my heart that had been missing. And so I was so thankful when we found him. The number one thing that I love about Jake, besides his smile, of course, is how compassionate he is. He is always helping others. He's always thinking of others in a really hard situation. He'll be the first one by your side. So I love that about him, and I'm so thankful that he is in our forever family. We still had missing pieces from there, so we continued to do foster care, and we got this phone call of this little boy. He was 1.5, and we had to drive really far to pick him up. Clear across a few towns actually to get him, but we did. And when we got there and picked him up and saw he had the cutest big lips and the cutest smile, and he just was amazing. And that was
Brody!
Brody! He was so cute, the sweetest thing. He was such a good baby too, and he just brings so much light into our life. As you guys know, has the best laugh in the entire world. And you hear it? You hear it? He just brings such laughter into our lives. We actually thought that we were going to be done adopting from there, and Aaron and I had already discussed to close our foster care license. And then I ended up getting this email, and it had Hannah and Alex in it. And when I saw their picture, my heart just melted, and I knew that they were meant to be a part of our family. I thought Aaron would honestly say no, but I showed him the email anyways, and surprisingly he said yes, and he said, you know, let's go meet them. So we went and picked them up from a group home that they were in and took them to a Lego event for the day, which was so fun.
Super fun.
And we dropped them back off at the group home, and on our car ride home, Aaron actually started crying, and he said, those are my kids. We were meant to have those kids.
Oh,
and,
I love you too.
Oh. So that is how we met Hannah and Alex, and we just always knew that they were meant to be ours since day one. And they were shortly, a few months later, adopted, and they actually got adopted the same time Brody did.
Yeah.
And they are such a big blessing in our family, and we just love them so, so much. I love you guys too. And just as you feel like your family's complete, I still had this little missing piece where I knew I was meant to have this baby girl in my life. However, what I didn't know at the time was I was meant to have an adult daughter at the time, and that was Jamie. So Jamie, we call her our special edition. She was the missing piece that we didn't know was missing until we met her and brought her into our lives. She has the sweetest personality, and she is so kind to everyone she meets. She's amazing at singing and dancing, right? And she gave us the best gift that you can possibly give anybody. That was Aurora. So Aurora and Jamie were our last additions, and they really completed our family. Aurora was adopted last May, and Jamie has always been adopted in our hearts. So we are thankful that they're a part of our family. We recently did a story on Aurora's adoption, so I'll put the link in the description down below, and I'll also link the video at the end of this one. And you guys can kind of see their backstory and how they came into our family, which was such an incredible story. The Crazy Middles also filmed a very similar video on how their family came together and their adoption story. So I will put a link to their video at the end of ours. Make sure you check it out. And that's how we found all of our crazy pieces. Woo! Thank you guys so much for subscribing to our channel. Make sure you like and share this video, and we can't wait to bring you guys along our crazy journey. Thanks for watching. Bye!
And I'll be there when you need me. You can count on it every time. It won't always be easy, just as sure as the sun